Hello there, everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful work week. So stick with me here. This one's kind of interesting. I want you to imagine a world where you make different kinds of candy and cakes, and pretty much everybody that you compete with makes similar kinds of candy and cakes. Now, your cakes are awesome and you do very well. And all of the confectioners in your marketplace, well, they all use the same kind of chocolate, and it's pretty much available to everybody. But there's one company that controls a huge percentage of the supply of chocolate. You, like many of your competitors, well, you depend on their chocolate. It's high quality and they've supplied it for years and everybody uses it. I mean, everybody's grumbled that they're too big and too powerful, but well, the chocolate's good, it's easy to get to, and it's cheaper than just about everybody else, so it's kind of a win-win. But suddenly, and with much fanfare and public outcry, chocolate is deemed harmful to public health. But it's not like chocolate's going to go uninvented. I mean, there will still be people who make it and people who consume it. But the biggest suppliers across the industry, including that big one that you so depend on, has said no more chocolate. What are you going to do? You're going to change your business model? You're going to change your products? You're going to change your suppliers? You're going to try and get with the program? You're going to go outlaw? What are you going to do? And then that major chocolate provider comes to you and says, all of your competitors don't have what we have. We're going to make something that's just like chocolate, only it doesn't have the same dangerous things that chocolate has. And you just kind of have to trust us with that. And you can only get this new kind of chocolate from us. Now, does that change your mind? Maybe you feel like maybe, just maybe, this chocolate provider might be taking a bit of an advantage to this situation. Well, that's where we are now with the third-party cookie. A chocolate cookie, if you will. Publishers, advertisers, and Google all fighting it out. Google has decided that it's no longer going to support the third-party cookie, but it's got its own new chocolate for publishers and advertisers, and it's confusing. It's like that box of chocolates that you're looking at right now. With that guide, that book that you have with it, you still have no idea what's on the other side of that bite, and who knows what the right answer is. Well, we're going to look to a couple of ways to help. You want to know more? This is a few minutes of what's new that might help you lead your marketing strategy. Let's take a best guess as to what's inside that chocolate truffle, and let's roll. Hello, everybody. Robert Rose here with What's New in Marketing. It is about what's new in marketing, but most importantly, it's something important in marketing that we think might help you be a better marketer. And if we can help you or your team with custom training, consulting, or ongoing implementation of your content marketing approach, get on over to contentmarketinginstitute.com, won't you? All right, we've covered the idea of privacy and how the third-party cookie is going away a few times on this channel. But there are new developments in this space, and after reading them, you may be a bit like me going, I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, is it going away? Is it not going away? Do I have to do something? Is something going to change? And the answer, of course, is yes, you do need to do something. But there's just so many buzzwords, so many technicalities, so much doublespeak. I mean, it can be maddening. So this week, I wanted to do just a bit of an explainer item on what's going on and what it means. So let's break this down really simply. A few weeks ago, I told you about Google and the status of the third-party cookie. Now, you can go back and watch that video if you need to, but there I defined what a cookie means, how it plays into the idea of what we as marketers do in order to personalize or customize an ad for a targeted audience. And if you want a quick explainer on what a cookie actually is, well, you can go there. So part of that video now acknowledged that this isn't new. The third-party cookie debacle has been going on for years now. And the reason that we're having so much news about this right now is because Google has such a large market share of the web browser and the content publisher marketplace and, search advertising. I mean, let's be honest, at some point a meteor is going to hit the world and crack it open and we're going to see a giant Google logo in there. But anyway, there's no doubt that they're kind of the linchpin of what the ad industry has to respond to. Let me explain it like this. So about 2 months ago, Apple made a simple but extraordinarily significant change to the way podcasts were managed. Prior to November of last year, if you subscribed to a podcast, and let's say you skipped a week or two of a podcast you like, well, the app would now download all the episodes that you missed. They changed that to where it doesn't do that retroactive download anymore. You skip it, you've missed it. You have to go manually download it. Now it just downloads the most current version. You can see the ripple effect that that has. Immediately, many podcasts lost about 25% of their download count. Think about that. If you had audiences skip even a week, that's at least one download per month you don't get. And if you're monthly, it's even bigger percentage, right? Podcasters had a collective meltdown for those that are monetized through advertising. It's a big deal. Now imagine that, but 300 times bigger. If podcasting advertising is about a $2 billion industry, programmatic advertising, including search, is a $546 billion industry. This third-party cookie change is changing at the tectonic scale. Complete programmatic advertising industry level of change, which Google, by the way, is around 230, almost half of. So when Google completely gets rid of the third-party cookie in its Chrome browser, everybody's ad performance is going to take a huge hit. And that's got everybody in that business, from publishers to media companies to the IAB to the technology companies having their toxic freakouts. So what's been going on, of course, is that, Google is smart and it knows this. It's not just taking the third-party cookie away. I mean, their bread is buttered there too, right? So 5 years ago, in 2019, Google released a blog post and it basically said, hey, guys, we're kind of going all in on privacy and we're going to start working on new solutions that don't involve third-party cookies and private data and tracking all over the web. So we'd love to work with you on this. Let's shoot for, 2022 for all of that. And basically Google said to the industry, we're going to figure it out. And maybe by 2022, we'll be ready to rock and roll. And they launched what became known as the Google Privacy Sandbox, as they say, an industry-wide attempt to develop new technology that will improve people's privacy across the web and with websites and everything like that. So, okay. They started to develop, and groups like the Internet Advertising Bureau, which of course represents many of the affected groups on the publisher side, said they would push and they would pull on strings here, and there was ultimately lots of debates about how to do this or how to do that. And that brought delays. And in 2021, Google was like, all right, guys, we get it. This is hard. So we'll delay this by a year, 2023. How does that sound for everybody? Meanwhile, Google's just kept doing stuff, trying out new technologies, new experiments, and nobody in advertising and media was really paying that much attention or, quite honestly, really liking much of what they saw. So in 2022, Google said again, all right, we're going to delay it again. But come on, we got to do something here. We're kind of serious now. So 2024 it is. So in 2023, the actual solutions started coming out. Like last year, Google rolled out something called the clean room technology, where partner vendors like InfoSum and Habu and LiveRamp, this was so that advertisers could match their data with the product, that's the product company data, to a kind of Switzerland area, right? A clean room, a neutral place where you could identify those people and you wouldn't know either side which was which, and they could still target ads without any side giving up their data identities. Google called this PAIR, or Publisher Advertiser Identity Reconciliation. Great acronym, right? All right. So just to confuse things more and really stretch the sanity of the acronym bingo, Google also at that time launched FLEDGE, F-L-E-D-G-E. That's the first locally executed decisions over group experiment. Yeah, they're not great with acronyms there, Google. Anyway, that was basically a set of content categories that people could be lumped into instead of by third-party cookies. Think of them as audience cohorts or audience groupings by topic area, for example. In that experiment, that we also covered, by the way, here at CMI back in 2023, Google did a test in which it tested FLEDGE against its newest technology, which thankfully switched the acronym yet again and called it the Protected Audience API. And basically, that experiment found that users that were grouped into these sort of topic categories, the Google definition of the categories, were about the same as those that using third-party cookies. So Google was like, hey, it kind of works. So what do you say? And publishers, on the other hand, were underwhelmed about the whole thing. They were like, I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't get it. And that brings us to now. So just a few weeks ago, Google made good on its promise, started rolling out real, actual changes, basically limiting third-party cookies on 1% of the Chrome browsers. We covered that here on CMI, and that's millions of people. And people were not happy in those businesses. Now, the new news is that the IAB, remember them, they are the ones who represent both advertisers and publishers. Well, they issued a report basically outlining all the things that were wrong with Google's approach to privacy, how it's not ready for prime time, the industry isn't ready for this. They were like, what, you're actually going to start doing this thing you told us you were going to do 5 years ago? And in that, they were also not so subtly trying to make the hint or the point that Google might not be terribly transparent in how they're doing things. This report has now led to, let's just call it an unsubstantiated hint from the UK government Competition and Markets Authority. That's the Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA, another acronym, and once again, leave it to the UK to have the most officious sounding government bodies. Well, anyway, they said that Google must do more to address the issues with the privacy sandbox because, well, Google may be building an advantage to Google. They may be going, hey, we have a new flavor of chocolate for you in the way that they're architecting privacy. Shocking, I know, right? Google might be architecting the next generation of ad targeting to benefit, itself over everybody else. All right, so there you go. That brings you up to speed. So what does all this mean? Well, it means that you're likely to see these kinds of headlines for some time. Basically, there is a lot of thrash going on right now about what will be the standardized way to target advertising, target people across the web. And here's the real rub. It's in everyone's interest, publishers, advertisers, Google, to basically to delay, to obfuscate, to make complex everything about this. The more they can punt this down the road, the better they are. So don't expect this to get resolved anytime soon. But, and this is the key point, that should not be an excuse or a delay in any other way for a rationalization for your business, your team, or you to start refining your first-party data approach and using that data to manage the way that you'll target content, you'll create value for audiences if and when the third-party cookie actually does go away completely. If there's one thing that is plain as day, the outcome of the third-party cookie deprecation and Google's approach to data and privacy and the IAB's take on data and privacy and the general industry approach to data and privacy is whatever it will be, it's going to fundamentally change the way that ad media is purchased. It's not if it's going to change, it's how much and when. And specifically, will those changes be big or small in the short term? And I guarantee you that no matter whose solution ends up being standard, it's not going to be easier for us to target content. So if you don't have a first-party data approach and a way to get a 360-degree view on your customers, your audiences as they journey through all of your owned media experiences, then the only thing I know is that it's going to get a lot more expensive for you to do marketing and advertising. And that means getting good with first-party data and fast. And that's a few minutes of what's new in marketing. I hope that helps explain the third-party cookie situation for you. And remember, it's your story to tell. You can go ahead and set that third-party cookie and tell it well. I'll see you next week.